Hello, welcome back. This is another video about image processing in Python in Excel. Let's first take a look at the imports. We're going to be using three modules from the PIL Python image library package. First of all, the image module lets us open image file objects. The image filter module has a bunch of methods in there for applying filters to images, and image chops, which is a fun name, is actually channel operations, which includes the blend function, which I think might be interesting to you. In previous videos, I imported the images from a local computer and encoded them as base64 encoded strings. We then used Python and Excel to decode those into the images themselves. We're going to be doing something similar today, but just with a single image, just to keep things brief. First of all, we will get that query and put it into a data frame called data. Next, we're going to just decode a single image from data. So we have got data.loc. Let's take the image at position 1, take the image binary string and decode it into its bytes. Then pass those bytes into the bytes.io method to create a file-like object, and then use image.open to open that file as the image and display it in the cell. First of all, let's look at blurring. So blurring can be done in many ways. This is going to be probably one of the simpler ways that you can do it, and we're going to display the effect of blurring by creating a tuple with the original image, and then we're going to use im.filter, which will let us apply a filter, and the filter we're going to use is from the image filter module, and we are going to use Gaussian blur with a radius equals 5, and the radius determines how intense the blurring is. So let's look at what 5 does. You can see that radius of 5 has blurred the image somewhat. If we change it to 10, it will be much more extreme. So there it is. You change the radius and it changes the degree of blurring. Do with that what you will. Next, let's look at sharpening. So in this case, I have used the standard sharpen filter, and I've passed it into the filter method of the image, and I've displayed it alongside the original image. Now, you can probably see some differences but in the grass here, maybe some of the edges around the dog. Sharpen is kind of a pre-configured way of applying sharpening. There is an alternative with more control called unsharp mask. If you want to, you can pause the video and read these notes, or you can go away and research this image filter.unsharp mask. But let's look at how it works. We will create a tuple with the original image and again apply a filter to the original image. And the filter will be image filter, filter.unsharp mask. And it has three parameters: a radius, which determines how many pixels influence the sharpening effect. I'm reading my own notes. A small radius sharpens the fine details. A larger radius creates a softer sharpening effect. So I'm going to leave it at radius 1 so that we can see a very noticeable effect. Next, we will have a very large value for %, and this will cause what is noted as aggressive sharpening there, but we'll see what that looks like. And finally, the threshold. High values sharpen only strong edges, avoiding minor details or noise. Low values sharpen everything, including noise. So let's take a low value so we can really see the effect. So that's image filter.unsharp mask. Let's see what it does. So you hopefully can notice the difference between the grass, which now kind of looks fake in the sharpened image, but there are now more sharp lines, or rather black or gray lines in some of the fur and around the feet and between the leg and the body. So that is image sharpening. Let's look at image blending. This one's fun. So in this example, I've applied the emboss filter to the image, which has kind of created this stamped metal look. I think that's a bit extreme. Luckily, we do have the blend method, which means we can take this image and the embossed image and kind of blend them together and get a result that is kind of halfway between the two. And to do that, we are going to first emboss the image in the way that we did before. Embossed is going to be im.filter and image filter.emboss. So that's the embossed image. And then we are going to apply the blending like this. So this will be im.blend. No, it will be image.blend. And we're going to blend the original image with the embossed image. And the third parameter is alpha. And alpha determines which of the two that we are blending will receive preference. So higher values will prefer the second parameter, i.e. in our example, the embossed image. Lower values will prefer the first parameter, which is the original. So I'm going to use a somewhat high value of 0.8 so that we get a preference towards the embossed filter, and because we really want to see what it's done. And then finally, we will display the original image and the blended image on top of each other. And there it is. We've taken this image and blended them together to give us this. Finally, let's look at this sheet, apply all the filters. And there are a number of filters that we can use, but it would be useful to see them all side by side. So let's say filters equals a list comprehensions, F for F in, I will explain this in just a moment, if not F dot starts with underscore, and F dot is upper. Okay, so dir gives us all of the objects in this module. So the image filter module has some functions in it. This dir will give us the names of those functions. But it may also have some functions that are private to the module and are only intended to be used internally. And those will begin with an underscore by convention. And the ones we're interested in are these filters, which are all uppercase. So we want the ones that are uppercase and don't begin with an underscore. And we want to return them into a list called filters. And we want to print those. And it's actually already showing, but I'm going to run this cell so that you can see that that's what it produces. So there are the list of filters: blur, contour, detail, so on, so on, so on. So how do we apply those programmatically? Well, filtered images, we use a list comprehension, which may not surprise you. And for each of the images, for each of the filters, we are going to throw them into the im.filter method in this way. So get attribute from the image filter module. We're going to get the current filter being iterated for F in filters. So what that will do is it will iterate over this list. And at each iteration, F will become blur, then contour, then detail. And so we will pass F into this get attribute, which will effectively return the function that applies the standard blur method. That will be passed into im.filter, the result being that the image will be blurred. So it will apply all of those one by one and create a list of images that have had those filters applied. It's quite a mouthful. And there you have it. This is blur, this is contour, this is detail, and that's it. So you can use this information however you wish, but I recommend you go to the documentation for the Pillow library and look at the image filter module and read about it and see which ones take your interest. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.